The GOAT of YouTube, KSI, is playing FPL this year, and today we are reacting to his FPL draft. In Go, he has opted for the two obvious choices and the two choices that are in my team. He opted for Pickford and Turner. As already mentioned, they are having a pretty good rotation with one of each other. And in game weeks 2, 5, and 9, Turner can fill in your fixtures for Pickford, and you can play the new Nottingham Forest goalkeeper. Until they sign someone else, Turner is going to be their starting player. Pickford is the ever-present Everton goalkeeper, so there is no chance of rotation there. I believe that KSI had some help doing that draft or he has watched some of the FPL content creators, because those two players are the most popular ones. I don't see him ever going for a Spurs player, so a Spurs goalkeeper was no chance. I believe that he considers Manchester United as a hard opponent as well, so going for players like a previous Arsenal player in Turner and Pickford Everton side that can't cause any problems to Arsenal is a pretty obvious choice. He used his budget, basically 100 millions, nothing left in the bank, but he has got built a good draft. So let's go and see how his defense is looking like. In defense, he opted for a very standard template as well. Arsenal, Chelsea, and Brighton defenders are the most popular right now, especially G.O.A.T. But let's talk about first the differential pick here for him. It's Ben White. He's 5.5 this year, and for me, he is a little bit of 0.5 waste over from Saliba. Saliba was my favorite Arsenal defender for the whole of the preseason, and now when Gabriel is being benched, and everyone just knows that Saliba is the better player, Saliba is being picked a lot, but Ben White is a pretty differential player, I have to say, because no one consider him to go, especially at that price, and he is a right center back going sometimes forward. I don't know if KSI wanted to spend so much money here, but in my opinion, it's a waste of them. He got 1 point this game week, the same as Gabriel, who didn't even start the game and went onto the field around the 75th minute. So yeah, Ben White this game week didn't provide a lot, but Saliba would have been a better choice in my opinion. Ben Chilwell, pretty standard player with Liverpool's game already passed. I can surely say that he is an amazing FPL player and an amazing player as a whole. He is playing on that left side without any issues. He is bombarding. He was the most forward player against Liverpool for the whole of the duration of the game. He had to go overturned by a slight margin. So yeah, at 5.5, you cannot go any better than Ben Chilwell in my opinion. Estupiñán 5.0. He had a pretty good game against Luton. He should have had more assists, but some of the chances were missed. He got a stupid yellow card and then conceded a penalty goal. For me, this wasn't a penalty. It was a very light penalty that removed his clean sheet, and he was bound to have a one-pointer around the 94th minute, but in the 95th minute, he decided to just switch on and made a pretty good pass, and then they scored the 5th goal, and he was with 3 bonus points and 3 bonus from assist, and he was with 7 points immediately. So Estupiñán, for me, he is one of the best attackers from Brighton you can own, and he's a defender, so that speaks for itself. For me, he picks himself, and it's very, very bad to go without him, in my opinion. And Pau Torres is the last guy here. He didn't start the game against Newcastle, but with Tyrone Mings' injury, I believe that at 4.5, Pau Torres is going to become a very good option. I know they just conceded 5 goals against Newcastle, but not every opposition is going to be as good as Newcastle, and the next game is a home game against Everton, and I believe a clean sheet is bound there to be happening. So yeah, at 4.5, Pau Torres is going to fill in Tyrone Mings' shoes because they're playing basically the same position. So a pretty good shout out here, going for Pau instead of Mings, so because it was a coin flip. And the 5th guy here, I believe that he has Kabore. He's a 4.0 defender. I don't mind putting anyone there because it doesn't matter right now who the 4.0 is, because basically he's not playing anytime. But I have to mention that against Brighton, Kabore looked pretty okay. He was attacking, he had a solid defensive performance, he got a yellow card and conceded several goals, so he didn't get a lot of points, but against weaker oppositions, a 4.0 defender can do some damage, and Kabore is the right choice for me. But I believe that he had Baldock. Whatever, I don't mind any of the 4.0 defenders right now. They will become more important when the season progresses. but right now a 4.0 defender, I don't think it's important. I'm confused between Baldock and Kabore because everyone's owning one or the other. So yeah, let's go at a 4.0 defender. And apart from Ben White, for me, a pretty solid defense, and they all returned. But at 5.5, you could have saved 0.5 going for Saliba, and you would have gotten the best out of the Arsenal defense. But that's a preference that he has from his Arsenal team's knowledge. Maybe he knows something that we don't, but apart from that, Chio, Estupiñán and Pau Torres very good options, and the 4.0 defender is pretty standard. In midfield, he has built a pretty differential draft to say. He has Rashford, Saka, Salah, Eze and Diaby. Those are 5 players from 5 different sides, so he's expecting different sides to score a lot of goals, and he was true at game week 1. Saka already scored, Salah gave an assist, Eze was one of the best performances in the Crystal Palace game, but he couldn't turn it into an attacking return, and Diaby already scored. Rashford is yet to play while I'm recording this video before the Manchester United game. But yeah, so let's talk about Rashford. He is having a Manchester United player, even though he doesn't like them. He is using one of their best players being Rashford. I believe that this is a pretty solid choice. I own him in my draft and I expect a lot of things from him. Next up is Saka. He is the star boy of Arsenal, and I don't see KSI not owning an Arsenal player. Apart from White, I'm even surprised that he hasn't got a third Arsenal option, but maybe he's trying to be not so biased due to his side, but play a more divergent game, let's say. Salah 12.5, I was pretty surprised to see that he got substituted off, but before that he had a goal overturned and he hit the bar and he provided an assist, so pretty good game from Salah, and I believe a good game is coming against Bournemouth because he was angry when he was subbed off, and I believe that with that anger Bournemouth don't face anything good after a week. So yeah, I believe that Salah will score a lot of goals on next Saturday when they play Eze. There is a hard game against Arsenal coming up, and I believe that we'll see how good Eze really is against so much stronger oppositions. I know after that it's a green fixture run for him, but the Arsenal game is pretty important and we have to see how he is going to do against them. And Diaby, for me, he is one of the best transfers this season. He already scored a goal. Yeah, it was an easy goal, but he was lively during the whole game. He was doing a lot of great stuff, and for me, he and Watkins are going to tear up a lot of defenses. I am too worried that I do not own them, but after game week 8, when their fixtures turn for the better, I will own them. Because right now I don't see me wasting transfers on bringing them, because in game week 2 I'm missing an easy game, then in 3 is an easy game once again, but then it's Liverpool, then easy game, then Chelsea and Brighton. So yeah, a little bit of everything here, left, right and center, so I'm not going to... I'm just taking up the points that they're scoring against me, and I will brace myself. But KSI has 2 Aston Villa players in his side, so he is believing in them. Basically, he is believing that Arsenal will score, Chelsea will keep several clean sheets here and there, but Chelsea is a pretty popular option. But all of these players here are pretty template options, so he hasn't gone wrong yet. So he is having a good opinion on the game. I always thought that he was knowing some ball and he just didn't have the time to follow up the game completely. But as he is most probably watching other FPL content creators, he is improving his draft all the time. If he wants, he can watch my FPL content. It will be pretty hilarious if he does, but for now I know that he is not watching mine. So yeah, I'm just trying to see how he is building his draft, because I watched him play FIFA with Emil Heskey, and now I'm watching him play the game that I enjoy. So yeah, I believe that KSI is going to have a great season and he's not losing the competition against his friends for sure, and I believe that he's going to be in the top 3 spots. But let's see. For now, midfield and defense pretty strong, and now let's see how his draft is finished up front with the forward line. If you enjoy such diverse content where I talk about other people's draft, not only mine, and who to buy and etc., please subscribe to my channel. All of your help is much appreciated. And now let's see his forward line. He's opting for the ever-present Haaland, so even though City tipped Arsenal of the title, and Haaland was the main reason to do so. He is believing in him, so he is showing that he is not biased, even though he is not owning any Spurs player. He's owning Haaland and he's captaining him, as I see in the first game week. So I believe that he knows ball, and I believe that even though he doesn't support Manchester City, obviously he's opting for the best players possible. Other than that, Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro, a very good option in my opinion. For me, he will score a lot of goals this season, especially when he is on pens, and he will be difficult to ignore when their fixtures are so good game week in and game weeks out. So yeah, Pedro at 5.5, you cannot go any wrong with him. And a 4.5 forward that I did not look at who exactly it is, because as with the 4.0 defender, they're not playing right now, so it doesn't seem to be important. Reacting to his draft, I believe that he made a very, very good draft. He is close to the template, but he has his different picks such as Eze and Diaby, while others went with Mitoma and Mbeumo, but he wanted to own Crystal Palace and Aston Villa players, so good for him. Other than that, pretty template, apart from Ben White, when others are owning Saliba and Gabriel, he's owning Ben White. Other than that, perfectly fine. I believe that he is going to have a good season, especially if he remains ever present with the game, because he may got bored. But for now, he's staying engaged, and by looks of it, he's tweeting that he's playing and laughing at some players that shows different players and etc. But yeah, Haaland and Pedro up front finish up the draft. The other is looking pretty amazing. And for my opinion and with my reaction, I believe that the draft is good. As already mentioned, if you enjoy such content and want to see more or want to follow me through my journey, please subscribe to my channel. But for now, guys, I will be heading out. Bye!